Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, to everyone listening today, if you are in pain, I want you to know that you are not alone. You may feel like you've been forgotten by the world. You may feel like no one sees the tears you cry behind closed doors. But I see you, I feel you, and I want to remind you today, pain is not the end of your story. It might just be the beginning of your purpose. Pain is a universal experience that touches every human life at some point. It arrives without warning, uninvited and unwanted, often leaving us feeling confused, overwhelmed, and broken. Yet, pain is not a life sentence. It is a signal that something deep within us needs attention, care, and understanding. Like a warning light on a dashboard, pain alerts us that something is out of balance. It is not there to destroy us, but to direct us. When we stop seeing pain as a punishment and begin to understand it as communication, we start to reclaim our power and clarity. Too often, we try to suppress pain, distract ourselves, or pretend everything is fine. We're told to be strong and keep moving forward, but real strength is found in listening to what pain is trying to say. Pain is not weakness. It's a message. It tells us something isn't right. Maybe it's an unhealthy relationship, unresolved trauma, or simply exhaustion from carrying too much for too long. If we ignore these signs, we only allow the wound to deepen. Acknowledging our pain is the first courageous step toward real healing and inner peace. When you are in pain, it's easy to believe that something is wrong with you. But pain is not evidence of failure. It's evidence of feeling. It proves that your heart is still beating, that your soul still cares. Even in your lowest moments, your pain shows that you are alive and connected to your emotions. Denying it doesn't make it disappear, it buries it, only to resurface stronger later. Instead of fearing pain, we can begin to see it as a teacher, inviting us to slow down and pay attention to ourselves. Pain reveals the parts of us that have been silenced, neglected, or forgotten. It forces us to confront what we've been avoiding. It might feel like your world is falling apart, but often it's just your illusions that are breaking down, illusions of control, of invincibility, of perfection. What remains is the raw, honest truth of who you are and what you truly need. When you listen to your pain, you open the door to emotional honesty. And emotional honesty is the birthplace of authentic growth and transformation. Sometimes pain is the only thing that gets our attention. We may go through life on autopilot, ignoring the signs, until something crashes into us and brings us to a halt. Whether it's heartbreak, illness, or a personal loss, pain disrupts the noise of daily life and demands presence. In those quiet, agonizing moments, we hear our true thoughts. We remember what we care about. We realize what really matters. Pain strips away the non-essential and leaves us with what is pure and real. It invites us to start over from a more grounded and intentional place. It's important to recognize that pain looks different for everyone. For some, it's physical suffering. For others, it's emotional wounds, mental battles, or spiritual emptiness. Yet the underlying message is the same. Something within needs to be healed, nurtured, or changed. Just as a fever is a sign of infection, emotional pain is a sign that the heart is under strain. Instead of numbing it with distractions or unhealthy habits, we need to face it with compassion. Facing pain doesn't make us weaker. It makes us wiser, more self-aware, and more resilient. People often ask why pain has to exist at all. But imagine a life without it. If we never felt pain, we'd never know we were bleeding. We'd never learn from our mistakes. We'd keep walking down destructive paths without ever questioning them. Pain is what stops us, makes us pause, and demands a new direction. It keeps us from becoming numb and disconnected from our own lives. Though it hurts, pain protects us in its own way. It keeps us human, humble, and connected to the things that truly matter in this life. Understanding pain as a signal changes how we respond to it. Instead of reacting with panic, frustration, or guilt, we can respond with curiosity and care. We can ask ourselves, what is this trying to tell me? Where do I feel unheard? What do I need that I'm not giving myself? These questions don't fix everything overnight, but they shift us from being victims of pain to students of it. And as students, we can begin to heal, we can begin to grow. We can begin to move forward with more wisdom and compassion than we had before. Pain also serves as a bridge between people. When we've experienced deep pain, we can relate more deeply to others who are hurting. Our pain allows us to offer empathy, kindness, and genuine connection. In this way, pain not only signals something within us, but also awakens our connection to humanity. It turns isolation into solidarity. It reminds us that we are all part of the same fragile and beautiful human story. And by sharing our pain, we give others permission to speak theirs, breaking the silence that keeps so many suffering in the dark. In the end, if you are in pain, remember this: your pain is not the full story, it is just a chapter. And chapters change. Pain is calling you to something deeper, to listen, to learn, and to love yourself enough to heal. You are not broken beyond repair, you are not being punished. You are being invited to rediscover your strength, to realign with your values, and to rebuild your life on a foundation that honors who you really are. Let your pain speak, and let its message lead you toward the light you still carry inside. When we are in pain, the first instinct is often to withdraw. We isolate ourselves, convinced that no one would understand what we're going through. Pain whispers lies, telling us we are alone in our suffering, that no one sees us and no one cares. But the truth is, countless people around the world are fighting silent battles just like you. While the details of our struggles may differ, the feelings of grief, despair, fear, and hopelessness are shared. Pain connects us to the most vulnerable parts of being human, and that shared vulnerability becomes a thread that links us all. Many people carry pain behind smiles, laughter, and daily routines. Just because someone appears strong on the outside doesn't mean they aren't breaking on the inside. You are not the only one crying at night, doubting your worth, or questioning your strength. When we realize others are also enduring deep pain, we begin to understand that we are never truly alone. Pain can make us feel singled out, but in reality, it's one of the most unifying human experiences. You are surrounded by souls who are hurting too, silently hoping someone will understand. Sharing your pain doesn't make you weak, it makes you courageous. It opens the door for connection, healing, and compassion. Too often, we suffer in silence because we fear judgment or rejection. But when we speak up and share our truth, even if just with one trusted person, we allow others to step into our story. We give them permission to be vulnerable too. That exchange, raw and honest, is where real healing begins. It's in those honest conversations that we realize we are not outcasts. We are part of a bigger community of survivors. If you've ever been through something dark and felt comforted by someone who's walked a similar path, then you know the power of shared pain. Their words, their understanding, their presence, it all made a difference. Now, imagine you doing that for someone else. The pain you've endured gives you empathy others may not have. It gives your words weight, your silence depth, and your compassion strength. When you let others in, you don't just find relief, you offer it. Your story may be the bridge that helps someone else cross their own stormy sea. We often compare our struggles with others, minimizing our pain by telling ourselves others have it worse. But pain is not a competition. Just because someone else is hurting too doesn't mean your pain is less valid. There is space for everyone's suffering. Acknowledging the universality of pain isn't about diminishing our experience. It's about knowing that others have walked similar paths and made it through. Their survival becomes our hope. Their strength becomes our encouragement. You are not weak for hurting, and you are not alone in it. Pain shared is pain lightened. Even in the digital age, where people curate their lives to appear perfect, remember that what you see is never the full story. Behind every filtered photo and cheerful caption may lie someone struggling with anxiety, grief, loneliness, or trauma. You are not the only one feeling lost or broken. You're not the only one asking, why me? We live in a world where pain is often hidden. But just because it's not visible doesn't mean it isn't there. Everyone you meet is carrying something. That shared invisible burden binds us more than we realize. Sometimes we are so deep in our pain that we forget we can ask for help. We fear being a burden, so we stay silent. But asking for help is not a burden. It is a bridge. It is an act of faith in others and in yourself. When you reach out, you remind someone else of their humanity, their capacity to love, and their ability to make a difference. And when they respond with love, you begin to understand that connection is one of the greatest antidotes to pain. You were never meant to suffer alone. Pain shared is not pain double. It is pain divided. It becomes more bearable when held by more than one heart. In support groups, therapy rooms, coffee shops, and quiet corners, people are healing together. They are finding strength not in pretending to be okay, but in admitting that they are not. And in those moments, the bonds formed are deeper than surface friendships. They are rooted in truth, empathy, and mutual care. You are never truly isolated unless you choose to remain silent. There is always someone willing to listen if you are brave enough to speak. Even strangers can become allies in your healing. A kind word, a compassionate smile, or a simple "I understand" can breathe hope into the darkest moments. People who have never met can share an unspoken bond through pain. That's the miracle of humanity. We are wired to connect, especially when we hurt. When you open your heart, even in brokenness, you invite others to stand beside you, and in their presence, healing becomes possible. Your wounds do not have to be carried alone. There is strength in numbers, and there is healing in shared suffering. So, if you are in pain right now, remind yourself daily, you are not the only one. Somewhere, someone is going through the same storm. Somewhere, someone is holding on for one more day just like you. And somewhere, someone made it through, and so will you. Pain isolates, but truth reconnects. And the truth is, we all suffer, we all break, and we all need each other. In this shared reality, there is comfort, courage, and community. Let the knowledge that you are not alone become the light that guides you through your darkest hour. Growth often comes through suffering. Though pain is difficult and uncomfortable, it is one of life's most powerful tools for transformation. In our moments of deepest suffering, we are forced to confront parts of ourselves that we would otherwise ignore. Pain demands our attention, revealing the areas in our hearts and minds that need healing, clarity, and strength. While comfort keeps us still, suffering forces movement. It shakes us out of complacency and pushes us to rise, rebuild, and reimagine our lives. It's through struggle that we stretch, and in that stretching, we discover new parts of who we are. In times of hardship, we develop emotional depth that peace alone could never provide. When we are hurting, we learn patience, perseverance, and empathy. We learn how to sit with discomfort, how to rebuild from brokenness, and how to live with uncertainty. These are not easy lessons, but they are lasting ones. We don't learn the strength of our spirit when everything is going well. We learn it when everything falls apart, and we are forced to carry on anyway. Every painful experience teaches us something essential about our ability to survive, adapt, and eventually grow stronger. The greatest teachers in life are not the easy days, but the ones filled with tears, confusion, and loss. Those are the days that shape us, sharpen us, and remind us of what truly matters. They bring us face to face with the core of who we are, stripping away the masks and illusions we often hide behind. What's left is the real us, raw, vulnerable, but resilient. Growth born from pain is real, deep, and unshakable. It's the kind of growth that lasts a lifetime and transforms not only how we live, but why we live. Pain has the power to humble us. It reminds us that we're not in control of everything and that life doesn't always go according to plan. But in that humility, we often find wisdom. We stop taking things for granted. We learn to appreciate small victories and quiet joys. We become more grateful, more grounded, and more generous. Pain has a way of cleaning out the clutter of the soul, leaving only what is meaningful and essential. It tears away the superficial and brings us back to what really matters: love, kindness, compassion, and the courage to continue. Through suffering, we gain perspective that cannot be taught by books or words. It has to be lived. When we walk through darkness, we begin to understand and appreciate the light. We begin to empathize with others, not just out of sympathy, but from genuine understanding. We learn that everyone is carrying something heavy, and we become less judgmental, more forgiving. That shift in perspective is growth. It changes how we see ourselves, how we treat others, and how we show up in the world. Our pain becomes the lens through which we see life with deeper meaning. In moments of suffering, we often discover hidden strength. We find ourselves doing things we never imagined we could. Whether it's getting out of bed despite depression, facing grief with grace, or rebuilding a life after loss, pain forces us to dig deep and find power within. That strength was always there, but it needed adversity to rise to the surface. This kind of inner strength doesn't shout. It endures. It's not about appearing tough, but about staying soft while surviving hard things. Growth from pain makes us both stronger and more tender, a rare and beautiful combination. Growth through suffering also allows us to redefine success. In our pain, we begin to question what really matters. We realize that success isn't fame, money, or achievements. It's peace, purpose, and meaningful connection. Pain strips away the world's definitions and helps us create our own. It encourages us to live intentionally, to seek what nourishes our soul, and to walk away from what harms us. This redefinition is a powerful form of growth, as it leads us toward a life that is authentic, fulfilling, and aligned with our true values and desires. Pain can also awaken creativity and purpose. Many great works of art, music, literature, and invention were born out of suffering. When we're in pain, we often turn inward, discovering parts of ourselves we've ignored. We begin to express our emotions in new ways, writing, painting, singing, or simply speaking our truth. Through this expression, healing begins, and sometimes purpose is found. What once felt like a curse becomes a calling. We begin to realize that the very thing that hurt us most may be the key to unlocking our destiny, guiding us to help others through their own pain. The growth that comes from pain is not always visible to others, but it is deeply felt within. We start to notice that we react differently, think more clearly, and love more fiercely. We become more present, more honest, and more intentional. These shifts may seem subtle, but they are profound. They show that the pain was not wasted. Every tear, every sleepless night, every heartbreak contributed to a deeper transformation. And while we may not be grateful for the pain itself, we become grateful for what it gave us: wisdom, resilience, and a deeper connection to life. Pain is the soil in which many of life's greatest growths take root. Though we never ask for suffering when it comes, we have a choice: to let it destroy us or to let it refine us. Choosing growth doesn't mean denying the hurt. It means believing that the hurt has something to teach us. It means trusting that in time, what broke us can also build us. And while we may emerge with scars, those scars are not signs of weakness. They are proof that we endured, evolved, and emerged more whole than we were before. You cannot heal from what you refuse to feel. So many of us are taught to hide our pain, to bottle it up and push it down as if ignoring it will make it vanish. But emotional wounds don't fade just because we pretend they aren't there. Instead, they grow deeper and more painful over time. Healing begins the moment we stop running and turn to face our pain with honesty. By acknowledging our suffering, we give it a name, a space, and a voice. That recognition is not weakness. It is the first act of true inner strength and self-care. Accepting pain is not about surrendering to it, it's about validating its presence. When you accept your pain, you're not saying that what happened was okay, you're saying that it mattered. You're giving yourself permission to feel, to grieve, and to process. So often we are in a rush to get over it, that we never actually deal with it. But real healing takes time, space, and emotional honesty. It requires sitting in discomfort, understanding its roots, and allowing the experience to pass through you rather than be trapped inside. Pain that is felt is pain that can be healed. Many people are afraid to feel their pain because they think it will overwhelm them. But the truth is, running from it is what drains us most. Suppressed pain doesn't disappear. It hides in our bodies, our habits, our relationships, and our decisions. It controls us in ways we don't even realize. Feeling your pain fully, crying, talking, journaling, or simply acknowledging the ache is not only healthy but necessary. The only way out is through. You must walk through the storm with your eyes open, heart exposed, and soul ready to emerge lighter on the other side. Society often glamorizes the image of someone who's strong and unbothered. But true strength is being vulnerable enough to feel everything you need to feel. There is courage in allowing your heart to break if it needs to. There is wisdom in recognizing that pain is not the enemy avoidance is. When you allow yourself to feel, you open the door to self-awareness and clarity. Emotions come in waves, and when you stop fighting them, they flow more freely and peacefully. Your willingness to feel deeply is what allows you to heal deeply, and that is the foundation of emotional freedom. It's important to give yourself grace in the process of healing. You may not have all the answers or the perfect words to describe what you're feeling. That's okay. Pain is often messy, confusing, and non-linear. Some days will feel better than others. The important thing is to keep showing up for yourself. Don't pressure yourself to move on before you're ready. Allow your pain to unfold at its own pace. Give yourself the love and compassion you would offer to a friend. In doing so, you create a safe space within yourself where healing can truly begin. Healing also means releasing the shame that often accompanies pain. Many people feel guilty for hurting, especially if they've been taught that their feelings are too much or not valid. But your pain is not too much. It's a reflection of your heart's depth and sensitivity. You are allowed to feel without explanation or justification. You are allowed to be broken and beautiful at the same time. Shame keeps pain locked away. Self-compassion sets it free. By accepting your emotions without judgment, you create the emotional freedom necessary for genuine recovery and wholeness. Acceptance does not mean you'll never hurt again. It means that you stop resisting the reality of your experience. Resistance creates suffering. Acceptance creates space. When you accept your pain, you stop fighting the truth of what happened and begin to work with it instead of against it. This is not giving up. It's giving in to the healing process. You let go of the need to control or change the past and start focusing on how to heal in the present. This shift from resistance to acceptance is often where the real transformation begins. The healing journey is not about forgetting your pain, but about learning how to carry it with grace. You will always remember what hurt you, but with time and acceptance, the memory will no longer control you. It will become part of your story, not your whole story, but a chapter that led to growth, wisdom, and compassion. When you allow yourself to feel and accept your pain, you begin to reclaim your narrative. You're no longer a passive character trapped by suffering. You become the author of your healing, turning pain into power and wounds into wisdom. Accepting pain also opens the door to deeper connection with others. When you embrace your own pain, you're able to show up with more empathy and understanding. You realize that everyone is carrying something. and your own vulnerability allows others to be vulnerable too. This creates relationships built on truth and trust, not performance or perfection. Your pain, once accepted and understood, becomes a bridge to others instead of a wall. You begin to see that shared humanity is found not in having it all together, but in being real, open, and compassionate with one another. Healing through acceptance is a journey of coming home to yourself. It's about removing the mask and finally saying, "This is how I feel, and it's okay." It's about no longer abandoning yourself in moments of pain, but instead standing beside yourself with love and patience. You don't have to have all the answers. You just need to be willing to feel, to listen, and to be kind to your own soul. In this sacred process, pain transforms not by force, but by presence. You allow yourself to feel, and in doing so, you allow yourself to heal. Time does not heal all wounds by itself. It's what you do with that time that matters. Healing is not passive. It is an active choice you must make every single day. It's the decision to get up even when you feel like staying down. It's choosing to take small steps forward even if they seem meaningless in the moment. Time only helps those who are willing to work with it. Each day offers the opportunity to learn, grow, and heal, but only if you are committed to using that time intentionally. Healing is a process you must invest in consistently. Every day is a chance to show up for yourself in a new way. Some days, healing might mean facing your emotions head on. Other days, it might mean allowing yourself to rest and do nothing at all. Both are valid. The journey of healing isn't about constantly moving forward. It's about being gentle with yourself and accepting where you are. Over time, these moments of self-compassion begin to add up. Slowly, the heavy weight you've been carrying starts to lighten. Healing may be invisible at first, but consistent effort plants seeds that blossom in their own time. Choosing to heal means choosing to feel, reflect, and release. It means no longer pretending that everything is okay when it's not. It requires honesty with yourself and the willingness to confront your pain. That choice is not always easy, but it is always empowering. Each day you make that choice, you reclaim a piece of your strength. Time gives you distance, but it is your choice to fill that time with actions that serve your healing. Journaling, therapy, prayer, meaningful conversations, or even silence, all of these are tools that support healing when used with intention. There will be days when it feels like nothing is changing. You'll question whether your efforts matter. But healing is not linear. It ebbs and flows, with progress often hidden beneath the surface. You may not feel it day to day, but over weeks and months, your inner landscape transforms. The pain that once consumed you begins to soften. Your thoughts become clearer, your heart lighter. That shift doesn't happen by accident, it happens because you keep choosing to engage with your pain instead of avoid it. You keep choosing to heal even when it feels like a slow and silent process. The choice to heal is also the choice to let go. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting what happened or pretending it didn't matter. It means choosing not to carry it as your identity forever. It means releasing the grip of the past so your hands are free to embrace the present. This is one of the hardest choices you will make, but also one of the most freeing. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens in layers, little by little, each time you decide that your peace is more important than your pain. Sometimes the decision to heal looks like setting boundaries with people who trigger or harm you. Other times, it means forgiving yourself for things you didn't know or understand when you were hurting. It's about making daily decisions that serve your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. These decisions don't have to be grand, they just have to be consistent. Choosing to walk in the direction of healing, even if you don't always feel strong, is a powerful act of self-love. It means you are no longer waiting to be rescued. You are actively building your own way out of the darkness. Healing also involves choosing new thoughts, new beliefs, and new narratives about who you are. Pain often lies to us. telling us that we are broken, unworthy, or beyond repair. The healing journey is about challenging those lies and replacing them with truth. It's choosing to believe that you are worthy of joy, peace, and love, even after all you've been through. That mental shift doesn't come overnight. It comes as you consistently practice self-compassion and rewrite the internal dialogue that once held you captive. Your mind is part of your healing, and each healing thought is a step toward freedom. As you continue to make the choice to heal, you'll begin to notice that the pain no longer defines you. It becomes a part of your story, not the whole story. You start to see how much strength it took just to survive, and that realization becomes a source of pride instead of shame. You recognize that the very choice to heal is a form of resilience. It shows that you value yourself enough to do the hard work of becoming whole again. That kind of strength doesn't shout, it builds slowly and quietly, until one day you notice how far you've come. Healing is not about being perfect or fixed. It's about becoming whole with all your cracks, scars, and lessons. It's about accepting who you are today while still believing in the person you're becoming. That process requires daily intention. Some days will feel like steps forward, others like setbacks. But as long as you keep choosing to heal, you are moving in the right direction. Even your hardest days are part of the journey. They remind you why you started, and they give meaning to your progress. Each time you choose healing, you choose yourself, and that is always worth it. You may not control the pain that comes into your life, but you do control how you respond to it. You can either stay stuck in it or use it as a stepping stone to rise. Choosing to heal is one of the most powerful choices you will ever make. It says, I deserve peace, I deserve love, I deserve joy. And even if it takes time to feel those things fully, the very act of choosing healing brings you closer to them. Healing doesn't just happen with time. It happens when you decide day after day to become whole again. Helping others while you're in pain can become a powerful form of healing. When you reach out to someone who is also struggling, you shift your focus from your own suffering to the shared experience of being human. That doesn't mean you ignore your pain. It means you choose to use it as a bridge to connect with others. In that connection, something begins to shift. Your wounds become a source of empathy, your silence becomes a voice for someone else, and your struggle finds meaning. Helping others doesn't erase your pain, but it does soften it with purpose. Pain often isolates us, making us feel like no one could possibly understand what we're going through. But when you share your journey with someone else, you break that isolation. You offer comfort simply by saying, you are not alone. That simple message can be life-changing, not just for them, but for you as well. In giving encouragement, you receive it. In speaking words of hope, you begin to believe them again yourself. Pain shared is pain divided. When you hold someone else's hand through their storm, you often find your own storm begins to quiet down too. There is a unique power in broken people helping broken people. You don't have to be fully healed to make a difference. You just have to be honest, present, and willing to show up with an open heart. Some of the most powerful healers are those who are still healing themselves. When you help others, you start to see that your pain hasn't been wasted. It has taught you things that can now be used to uplift, comfort, and inspire. Every kind act, every listening ear, every comforting word brings light into the darkness, yours and theirs. Helping others can also remind you of your own strength. Sometimes we don't realize how far we've come until we see someone else standing where we once stood. By offering them guidance or simply companionship, you reflect on your own growth. You begin to understand that you've survived more than you give yourself credit for. You've gathered tools and wisdom along the way that are now valuable to someone else. That realization can be incredibly empowering. It's a reminder that your story matters not just for you, but for the countless others who can benefit from it. When you use your pain to help others, you reclaim control over something that once made you feel powerless. You turn suffering into service. You transform tragedy into testimony. This doesn't mean your pain disappears, but it becomes purposeful. You begin to heal not just for yourself, but for others who need hope. That purpose can fuel your spirit and give you the strength to keep going. It brings dignity to your suffering, allowing you to walk through your pain with your head held higher, because you know it's helping someone else walk through theirs. Acts of service don't have to be grand or public. Sometimes the most powerful moments of help come in private, quiet exchanges. A kind message, a comforting smile, a simple "I understand." These small gestures can create ripples that reach further than you imagine. When you're in pain, showing kindness to others reminds you that your heart still works. It hasn't closed, it hasn't given up. You're still capable of love, compassion, and light, even when you're hurting. And that truth can be a deep source of healing all on its own. Helping others can also give you a sense of belonging and community. Pain can make you feel disconnected from the world, but when you serve or support someone else, you realize you're part of something larger than yourself. You remember that humanity is made of interconnected souls, each navigating their own challenges. In the act of giving, you rejoin that circle of care. You find companionship in shared vulnerability. That community doesn't just comfort you, it sustains you. It reminds you that we heal better when we heal together, with hands joined and hearts open. Sometimes helping others is the only thing that keeps us going when our own pain feels unbearable. It gives us a reason to get up, to keep trying to stay present. When you feel like your life has lost meaning, being there for someone else can reintroduce purpose. You realize that even in your pain, you still have value, you still matter, you still have something to offer. That sense of purpose becomes a lifeline, pulling you out of despair and helping you rediscover your own strength through the strength you give to someone else. As you continue helping others, you begin to rewrite your story. Instead of being defined by your pain, you are defined by your response to it. You become someone who chose to rise, to serve, to love despite the wounds. That identity shift is powerful. It builds self-respect, inner peace, and quiet pride. You look in the mirror and see not just someone who has suffered, but someone who has survived and become a light for others. You recognize that your scars are not signs of weakness, they are marks of compassion, evidence of a heart that still chooses to give. Helping others while you're in pain is one of the most courageous acts you can perform. This to go to jing when you feel owning empty, to love when your heart is aching, and to show up when you feel like hiding. But in doing so, you begin to refill your own soul. You discover that healing is not a destination, but a process that becomes richer when shared. Your pain, once private and heavy, becomes part of something greater, a story of resilience, hope, and connection that uplifts not just others, but also the deepest parts of yourself.